All right, let's do this. Murphy Mama, you ready? Okay, baby.
Yeah.
We'll go. Okay. Welcome back to the Bit on Her podcast. I feel like it's been forever. It's been a while. Been traveling, had the summit. So exciting. Today we have two-time Olympian gold and bronze medalist, Nebraska alum, co-founder of By the Sun clothing brand. Welcome, Kelsey Robinson Cook.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I've been fired up to be on this since we first started talking, and just really excited for all the things you guys are doing.
Thank you. Well, we're happy to have you here too. We got new mics here too, so we're testing these out, but good sound. So I guess we just want to start with like, how's your summer been? How's national team stuff going? I know you've been super busy, and kind of like just what you've been up to.
Yeah, the summer has been really fast. I think last year we had a pretty long summer, and then I finished my season in Italy middle of May, and then got to national team around June. Worked just to get healthy again, and now we have our Olympic qualifier coming up shortly in September, and then back overseas. So it's kind of felt like a whirlwind, but trying to have moments for myself, for me and my husband, and my life outside of volleyball as well, and then seeing my family, and you just keep moving, you know?
Yeah. You were just telling us before we started rolling that you just drove up to Santa Cruz this past weekend to surf. So I'm sure like the fact that you're able to find that little time of disconnect, and tell us a little bit about kind of like what that means to you.
Yeah, well, I'm really fortunate. So my husband and I bought our home in Santa Cruz 2 years ago. And it's just been my little like safe haven. And it's really nice because you can get up from the Monterey airport, or Monterey to LA is like 40 minutes. So total time is only like 3 hours. So when I have a weekend, I try to get up there, and the waves were also just really good this weekend. So we had some friends in town, and then just always a barbecue and stuff. And I feel like every time I go home, it's a very like healing time for me, where I can just kind of get away from the gym and get some perspective. I think when we're going, nonstop, and we're training and we're pushing and we're trying to achieve these goals, you can get really like lost in it, and not in a bad way, but you're just in it. And for me, it's really helpful to separate and have some space and really understand, okay, what is going well? What do I need to work on? And what feels bigger than maybe what it really is?
I mean, I know that you drive to Anaheim to train, but like living and being in the South Bay bubble can kind of get a little monotonous. I kind of call it Groundhog's Day. So it's like the same things, same people, different days. So it's always good to switch it up and do something that brings you joy, and with people that obviously help fill your cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I feel like, I would imagine, I don't really know, but for beach players, I can understand that. Like, you're living and working in the same spot. And that's actually why I live in the South Bay, because I can drive 40 minutes to the gym, do my work, and then when I get home, I cross over Rosecrans or Highland, and the ocean's right there, and it's just like a release for me, where I see the ocean and I know, okay, this is my safe place. This is where I leave work at work, and it's time to just do the things I need to recover and enjoy my life.
Yeah, and I feel like you, from an outsider's perspective, I feel like you have such a good job of having that balance in life, and like connecting with like the outdoors and nature and things that I think are really important for people, or athletes, especially when you get so caught up in training and traveling and competing. And so kind of like how do you maintain like this like healthy lifestyle? Or like what are some things that you do that, aside from surfing and whatnot, that give you that refresh your battery?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little bit deeper in a way of growing up and playing volleyball, and you want to get a scholarship, you want to go to college, you want to win a national championship, you want to play pro. Like, my whole life was, I need to be good enough for the next thing, I want to win the next thing. And when I finally achieved my first like big goal of trying to make my first Olympic team, after my first Olympics, I was pretty depressed. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that. It's like the high of being in it, and then coming home and like realizing it's like, okay, well, what's next? And why do I feel so low? And what do I want? I don't even know who I am. And that hit me really hard because it was like, I don't even know what fills me up. And it made volleyball a lot harder that year. And so I think that year I did a lot of diving into the things that make me happy. And whether it was trial and error, I have my own website and started a blog and throughout the years, and I have a cookbook and just like really random things, but it allowed me to learn new skills and give me purpose and passion like outside of the court when I am overseas. And I think with indoor volleyball too, we go 8 months of the year overseas and then we play 4 months with national team. And then you do that year in and year out over and over and over again. So like Groundhog Year, you know what I mean?
It's never ending.
Yeah, it just, you're like, where is that?
Yeah.
But I think I just know that like if I'm not full as a person and if I don't fill my cup up in the areas that make me really happy, then my court is going to suffer because I can't give all of myself to it. And so a lot of that was learning to surf with my husband, and we would go on camping trips, and I love silencing my phone, and just it's always like whenever I lose service, I'm like anxious because we're super addicted to our phones, and I'm always like, what if I miss an email or a call or USADA calls me, you know, and I'm not there. But I always find like the next day, 24 hours later, I'm like just so relaxed, and I'm like, they can call my mom, you know, like somebody will help me in a situation, but I'm good right here where my feet are. And it helps me to have that perspective to really like write things out and understand myself. And then when I get back to the gym, I'm able to just pour into people. And that's also really important to me as a player. Like I've always been more successful when I'm pouring myself into other people. So it's a lot of balancing, you know, yourself, which sounds really selfish, but it's how I give myself to other people at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think it's a good takeaway for a lot of athletes that maybe experience burnout too, especially. But like, what about any other pieces of advice that you have for athletes that are maybe feeling similar to you or want to follow in your footsteps with this kind of taxing lifestyle can be?
Yeah, I would say my first thing is always patience. Like we always want what's next. We always, you know, want to win. We want to be great right away. And I think what I've learned is that it's just being good over time. Like, how can I be really good over time and be consistently good over time rather than like great in this moment? And that gives me like a foundation to stand on during really hard or pressure filled moments in a game, because I know that I've trained myself to be really good over time. And just having patience with that learning curve, like getting better is never like an easy trajectory. It's a lot of this and that, and just finding a way to like steady out in there. And then I think the other thing would be like play around, like challenge yourself, play around with things that pique your interest. You don't have to make it a job. You don't have to make it a full-time thing. You can just really like have fun and dive into yourself and invest in yourself. And I think you'll like, something will stick, you know, something will stick in the end, and you'll find those things that like really fill you up outside the court.
So when did you kind of develop? So you said after your first Olympics, you felt like this depression, and then you took it upon yourself to kind of go explore. So what kind of drew you into that, I guess, mindset? Or have you had that before, like in college?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, well, I was a journalism major. So I initially and I grew up watching the Travel Channel. And my dad, for work, he would travel all over the United States. And I had this huge map above my bed, and he would like pick out where he was going to be working and how to get there. He would never let me use that back then it was like MapQuest. He was like, you're going to figure it out with the streets. And so he made me like really good at directions basically. But I just fell in love with like travel from an early age. And then I had the journalism background. So I just started like writing all the things I love to do when I do it. And then a lot of teammates were like, hey, what about like, do you have any recommendations? And I kind of got super passionate about that and started like building my website. But that just gave me something to do when I came home from volleyball, because when you're overseas, often you're alone. Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys know it's lot of time by yourself, and it can be really hard to deal with that and find a rhythm and then show up to the court and also be 100% there. So I think just diving into that piece of it, and then came the blog, and then came the cookbook, and then somebody else was like, well, you should start a line. And then I was like, well, I'm going to be in China in quarantine, so let's start a line. Like, and it's just been really fun. And I think, I don't have to wait until I'm retired from indoor volleyball to now start things that I'm curious about. Like, I've been doing it. And so when that time comes, I'm ready and I'm not scared.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to like being good over time. Like you have all these buckets that you've kind of set yourself up for like what's to come after you're done playing, which we hope isn't for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely took it upon yourself to go after it and kind of expand your buckets, I would say. And then getting into your line, which is your clothing line, right? By the Sun.
Yes.
By the
Yeah.
sun.
I bought this outfit last week, and I'm so excited. It's I'm only wearing the top, but
I have pants on.
Yes.
I also brought my top. Shameless plug.
Oh my God.
I would love to hear more about By the Sun, and I know you do it with Sarah, and kind of like how it all came about, the inspiration for it, and then I also want to hear about your Indonesia trip, because I feel like that was a big part of it too. Yeah.
So I've always been really passionate about our earth. Obviously, like being in nature, hiking, surfing, you get really connected to those things. And so I was always pushing my teammates on like, hey, we can be more sustainable in our purchases, and we can look at how things are made ethically. And it's just, sometimes it's a lost cause, but I just got really passionate about it. And I took a course for fashion and sustainability because I wanted to understand it before actually creating my line. And that also gave me time to, I guess, get my, what's the saying? I get my feet
wet.
Your feet wet? Your feet wet.
Get your feet wet.
I was going to say my feet under me, but I don't know if that makes sense. It gave me time to get my feet wet in the fashion world, because I think if I had just gone to my business partner, Sarah, and was like, I want to make a line, she would have had a lot to teach me. So I started my first capsule collection. It was called Kelsey Marie, and I only made pants for tall people. And then like some of my regular sized friends were like, when are you going to make pants for all of us?
Small people.
I don't like saying small because
I'm okay with that. I'm a small person.
like normal people. I
yeah.
But so then once I did the capsule collection, it did really well. And I was like, okay, let's expand this. And then I finally got with my business partner, Sarah, and we created our collection, our first one for By the Sun. And we make talls and regulars in all of our pants. And then everything is sustainable and ethically made. And we've been to the factories, and we produced it in Bali. So we made a whole trip of it and went to Indonesia and met the women who were making all the pieces, and just were really hands-on in the process, which was important to me because I think in the world of sustainability and fashion, there's a lot of greenwashing where you can say something's sustainable, but it's not. Maybe one of like all of it is mildly sustainable. So you can get away with a lot. And it was important to me that people, when they come and purchase our stuff, they're getting like the full product is well made, and you're not going to have to worry about it. We kind of take the thinking process out of it. So hence By the Sun, and it came to be.
And so aside from these two pieces, what are some other pieces that people can find?
So we have two sets. So we have our Palma set, which is the one that you're wearing, and it's the texture material.
Nice.
And that one comes in the cream color that you have on.
Yeah.
And then we have our Sur set, and that's like a baby blue and silk color blocking set. And that was just kind of like our fun, like our staple is Palma, and then our Sur is like our fun summer, like if you're at a pool party kind of event set. And then we have our swim, and then we'll just continue to create new colors in that over time. And I think a big focus for us is making sure we're not creating waste. So we're heavy in we want to sell out our product, and we just want to build a really great community that knows, like, when they come to us, this is the product they're going to get, and they can feel really good about the purchase.
Yeah. I mean, it's not only like the ethical standpoint and the organic standpoint, and like where it's like the fact that you were able to see it in person is, I mean, that's a huge selling point, I think, for a lot of people that might be interested. But I kind of wanted to tie in. So we had a summit last week that talked about body image for women in sport. And, I don't know if you've had a journey in regards to that or if you're open to sharing it, but I know that it's really important to kind of like have body inclusivity and to make these women feel powerful no matter like what their body shape is. So kind of like if you are open to sharing your take on it or your experience and kind of how your clothing line embodies that.
Yeah. Well, I think growing up, I was, playing at a very high level at a club, and we started like adding things like maybe this is better for you to eat and no sugar and no fried food. And we started early on like what we were allowed to eat, I guess. And then I went to college and kind of world's my oyster. Like I'm drinking, I'm having fun, like I'm gaining a lot of weight and not able to perform on the court. So then you have the two sides of it. Like, am I concerned about the weight because of the way I look, or am I concerned about the weight because of how I'm performing? And then you have the like social and cultural side of it where a woman needs to look this way and she needs to look this way, but then also perform this way. And sometimes those standards are very unrealistic, especially when we're talking about so many women with so many different body types, and it's not a one size fits all. And so I experienced that quite a bit in college. And I think for me, I don't know if I ever realized how big it was for me with eating and stuff. And I think it became something where I was counting calories all the time. And I could tell you when I was like eating dinner, I could tell you the calories of every single thing on the plate without even looking it up. Like I had just been doing it so regularly every day of my life. And then you have like the binging and then the not eating. And it was just this like very roller coaster relationship with food. And then at the same time, I'm playing and training super hard. And then I'm going to school and you're just taxing it at all ends. And I don't think I continued that cycle of eating like until I was pro. And then even into my first Olympics, and it was exhausting, but that was all I knew. And I don't think I ever got a hold of it until I went to Vakif Bank my first season in Turkey. And this is one of the best clubs in the world, right? And they train like 5 to 6 hours a day, and it's hard. Like you have to support yourself nutritionally and you have to sustain a high level, and you're asked to like give it your all every single day. And I just remember sitting down with my husband and thinking like, I can't do this. Like I can't perform with the way that I'm eating because I don't have enough in my tank, or I'm exhausted mentally from how much time I'm thinking about this. And I can't put all of my attention to volleyball because I'm like so exhausted about like what I'm eating. Like sometimes I'd be in practice thinking about like what I was allowed to have for dinner. Or I would just come home and have like a bowl of popcorn. And that's just not like, I don't think it was ever to the point of like an eating disorder or disordered eating or anything, but it was just like a very unhealthy roller coaster of never really having control of that. And so finally, sometimes it takes like opening up about it and talking about it with somebody who can support you, and even me admitting it out loud, because he had never even like, I never talked about it or would share that with people that I wasn't comfortable, or I would like kind of hide it a little bit. And then I like sat down with my husband and I was like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. And I know I need to be here to perform, and I need help, or I just need somebody to hold my hand through it. And like, I just decided that day, like it was really like a switch. I was like, I'm done, and I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to understand when I'm hungry and when I'm not, and I'm going to eat until I'm full, and I'm going to train myself every single day to do that, and I'm going to give myself grace to do that. And I'm just going to like stop weighing myself. I'm going to stop looking in the mirror like and just like being like, that's not good enough, this is bad, and blah blah blah. And I know the person next to me loves me like wholeheartedly 100% for who I am, and I'm just going to like take the leap of that. And I know that's not always the case for a lot of people where they just decide one day, but I really committed to that. And I finally started to feel that like I am hungry right now. And because I think I had blocked those signals for so long that I didn't even know, because I was like, okay, wake up, eat. Okay, now my snack, now my lunch, now my this, and I'd blocked all those signals. And so I started to learn my body. I started to understand what food even feels good for me. Like there's a lot of foods that I just like my body didn't like. And then long story short, like now I eat what I want when I want. I know how to properly fuel myself. I know what I respond to. I know what I need for a big heavy day. I know what I need for a championship match. And I can go out and have everything I want. I never deny myself because I just 90% of the time I'm so good with it, and there's a freedom in it where it doesn't take any space in my brain. Like I'm just fully committed to myself, my body, who I am, and like what I want to do, and there's no time wasted on the calories in a banana.
Yeah, I mean, that's all super relatable, and I know that a lot of the women that we had on the panel talked similar stories as well. So thank you for sharing that. I know that's not easy at times, and like vulnerability, and I think it's like the people that listen to this are going to realize, how important it is, and maybe some might resonate with, and it'll help them. So thank you for sharing.
It was a little long.
No, it's fine. That was
We love it.
Yeah, we love it.
When you said that you started a cookbook, right? So then did your interest come from that, kind of like you just started to have more of appreciation or education of like, what is the food that I'm putting into my body? You have that relationship. So can you talk about your cookbook and like your relationship with food in the kitchen? Because I know you and Brian do a lot of cooking from your Instagram videos, and yeah, just let us in on that.
Yeah. Well, I think when I took that leap and decided to like really understand myself nutritionally, I was cooking a lot. Like I think I got really passionate about it. And then also my husband eats so much, like for like 3 people. So I was like, okay, we really got to like bulk up here. But it became really fun for us. And I also like really fast, easy ways to eat, especially as an athlete. You're like, what can I get right now? I partner with my friend Belinda, who has an Instagram dedicated to all the things she's making. And she does a lot of like paleo, gluten-free, and just like really fun ways to eat. And so we were good friends, and we were like, let's do this. Like, let's just make it. I did a lot of the like photography piece of that, and then we shared on the recipes and the writing, and it was just fun. It was like another one of those passion projects where we were just like really excited to create, and I get to come home from practice and like dive into this part of my life. And sometimes I forget I have a cookbook, but it was so much fun to do. And yeah, and also because she would cook a bunch of stuff and I got to eat everything.
What's been like your summer meal? Like something you've been craving.
Salad. That's
okay.
What is it?
What is it?
well,
Do
it's
tell.
only famous because Alex Kleinman likes it, and Alex is also one of my very best friends, and so I'm just like fired up every time I get invited to dinner. I'm like, I can bring my salad. But it was Brian's favorite salad is a Greek salad because he played in Greece, and so I call it the California Greek, and it's very easy. It's just kind of like lettuce, whatever lettuce you want, and then I do like chunky cucumbers, chunky heirloom tomato, and like tons of avocado. And you can add meat if you want to it, but I keep it kind of like that. And then I just do rosemary, salt, and pepper, and that's it. Olive oil.
Damn.
But not a lot of olive oil because the heirloom tomatoes will like get in there.
Yeah.
Is this in the cookbook?
I think it is.
Okay, good. I'll
The
have to.
cookbook
It sounds
from a
great.
few years ago, so I
Hungry
can't
now.
actually remember. But
So where can we find this cookbook?
Google.
Perfect.
I might need to go see where the link is.
We'll find
It's somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find it.
And what about By the Sun? Where can people find
By
By
the
the Sun?
Sun. You can go to bythesun.store, or we have an Instagram. It's by the sun with 5 underscores. So we call it by the sun underscore as a joke. But
That's so funny.
yeah, you can get anything, the like link on the website, but I should plug a discount or something. if you guys want to.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get one of these.
Yeah,
So
you-
cozy.
I know. This is like, I took some photos the other week. There was a
They were
photographer.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. They turned out great. Yeah. But I don't have any, like, I'm not super fashion forward. And Franz, the photographer, he had worked with Sarah before. And I think, or maybe just Sarah with her other line that she had. Regardless, he was like, oh, I can try and get some pieces. And then I was like, oh yeah, of course, their line is great. And then I put them on. I was like, I must have this.
But that's why, like, that was a big inspiration for me, was because, like, I see so many women like 6'6", 6'5", you know, who find it so difficult to fit into things that like are chic or, you know, fashionable. And so they just don't try, you know? And I think it's just such an easy way. I wanted an effortless look that kind of like elevated it from sweatpants to like, oh, now I can go out to dinner with like slap on some heels and I look cute, but I'm still super cozy. And then for my teammates or any female athlete to like feel beautiful in, that was, I don't know, that's the piece of it that really like fires me up and makes me excited. It's just inclusivity.
Yeah, that's great.
Is there a brand that inspired you to kind of start your own line that you liked?
I really love Cook and Kin. She's like a famous fashion influencer. But I love her stuff, and her photography is amazing. And the Cook and Kin is that same kind of like effortless. It's more resort wear, but she does a really nice job of inclusivity with her pieces and sizing. And so I think for us, the next level, because we just launched in January, we really want to expand our inclusivity piece. We want to do unisex, and then we want to offer more sizes in the swim.
Oh, cool.
What advice do you have for people that are wanting to like pursue this entrepreneur type aspect? Because I mean, obviously, I know you have a pretty busy schedule. So, yeah, what kind of pieces of advice do you have for those people?
I think find a partner. Sarah is my like rock for everything, especially being 8 months overseas. Like, I'm really good at numbers and I love organization. And so I just like fire away in my off time and I just like do Excel and spreadsheets and I'm just back there like every day firing.
Coding.
Yeah, literally making equations. And then she's like my rock with the like delivery and the shipping and the like hands-on stuff, which is like what she does really well anyway. So we both kind of have our strengths, and we are super supportive of each other. And then I think like she has a full-time job, I have a full-time job. So I guess I would say like giving yourself grace, because I've found in it that I like want to like, we'll get momentum and then I want to like give it just 150%. But that's a lot of times unrealistic. Like I can't be at every market. I can't do everything. My time is just not going to allow me to do that. And just being really happy where we are, you know, like making plans. We've made a 2-year plan to a 5-year plan to a 10-year plan, and having that structure allowed me to have freedom in like where we were.
Yeah.
And just celebrating the little things,
Yeah.
you know, because there's a lot of milestones that are exciting.
Totally. I mean, I think it's really important for athletes, especially, to kind of start something, either whether it's a job or entrepreneur, a startup, something like that, that sets yourself up for when you're done playing, that like it's not as impactful on your identity. You know, I think that that's a big thing, is like as soon as you're done playing as an athlete and you have nothing, you're like, what now? Then it's, you know, I feel like that's when a lot of people tend to struggle with that. So that's really cool that you're doing all this, because I think it's a great setup for your future, which I kind of want to get into, is like, not that I'm saying obviously you're not done playing, but like what does that look like for you in the next few years?
Yeah, I think if you know me, I always have a plan. It just like, even if it never is executed, it's just allowed me to find freedom in, you know, not feeling like I am overwhelmed or anxious about anything, because it's like, okay, well, once I make a plan, now we're good. And then the plan's usually going to be your left. And then that's when my husband comes in and is like, you're good, don't worry. But I am going to finish my next season in Imoco Volley next year in Italy. And that'll be my last international year. Hopefully right now I'm training for the Paris Olympics. So would love to be a part of that team next summer. And then I'm going to play 2 years in League One volleyball. So I don't know where yet, but I'll finish out 2025 and 26 in League One. So that's kind of my volleyball plan, I think. And then just leaving things open, like obviously those are my plans, but I'm just very open to, if things change or the plan deviates and, my husband and I want to start a family, or I'd be excited maybe to play beach volleyball, or I want to dive full force into By the Sun, or I just want to like leave and travel the world. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
But I have this like foundation right here.
That's cool. That's a good backup ABC plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going all the way to W. Win.
And my husband's plan is like just be on board for my plan. So
Well, he's super supportive, and obviously you're overseas 8 months out of the year, and he's your rock and he's your sounding board, so he's important to you, and he allows you to be at your best at the highest level. So shout out to Brian Cook.
yeah, Bri is my like whole heart. And I know that's like very cheesy, but I think like, him and our relationship, and we sat down after Rio, and I was like, I can't do this without you, and I don't want to do it without you. So like we make decisions like together. When I get contract offers, ultimately it is my final say in a contract for next year, but we look at everything together and we say, how does this fit for both of us? Like, where are you at? 1 year he didn't come overseas because he was starting his own company, and then after Tokyo, I really said, I'm like, I'm not doing this without you. So like, you're coming over with me, or we're done. Or me and him aren't done. I'm done with volleyball. And he made that commitment, and he's just been like so supportive. And I'm also like really proud of him because he had to finish his career with injuries. Like it was kind of taken from him. And so it's been a long road for him to figure out like what really fills him up and what he wants to do with his life. So he's working for True Volley and just traveling the world with me, and it's great.
That's awesome.
That is great. And like over the course of the quads that you've been a part of, you've taken on a lot of different roles on the team, like as being the outside hitter, libero. Like how have you been mentally able to adapt and thrive at all those different roles that you've played on the team?
I've been really open to whatever is being asked of me. I think that's number one. Like when a coach is like, we want you to play libero, I immediately am like, okay, let's do it. Like I'm okay with that. And just having that open mindset to it and growth mindset in what you're doing has really allowed me to sustain that good over time in any role. And then I think like when you can give in multiple areas on the court, you're going to be valuable. And that's made me valuable to all the teams that I play for professionally. It's made me valuable to the national team. It's because I can do many different parts of the game well, instead of just, one area really like dominant. And I feel like teams feed off of that, or players can feed off of that when they feel supported in other areas of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Have there been any times where you've struggled maybe? And like, what did that look like? How'd you overcome it?
Yeah. I think if you look at my journey with USA, in Rio, I was the third outside. In Tokyo, I was also the third outside. And so that's like 9 years of being the backup. And I've started at libero. I've started a season outside, and I'm continuously like ready to go in big moments when things aren't going well. But that does weigh on anyone, anyone who is competitive, who feels that they should be out there. But I always tell myself, like, when that feeling goes away, then it's time to be done, because you should always want that. Like, you should always want to be out there. You should always think it's you. And when the lights turn on and the game starts, it's about the team. And I feel like I've always done that really well. And I also tell girls like coming through, it's okay to want more for yourself. It's when that feeling starts to become selfish.
Yeah.
That's a problem, right? So I think bringing that competitive fire, bringing that like hunger and desire, and sometimes it's an anger and it's a rage, right? And that's natural because we're all competitive and we all like want it so badly. But I think like I said, when the lights come on, it's about the team and the team success and then being there for the girls around you.
I agree. I love that mentality.
I'm like excited to play. I want to play.
Did you go indoor?
I don't know if I could go back indoor. We'll see, but I don't know. But it's inspiring to kind of hear you share that. And then I kind of wanted to ask like a follow up as far as how has the U.S. national team impacted you as a player? And then following up, like now that you're a veteran, what do you see the next generation doing, or what have you observed? Because there's a lot of kids coming in and out, so if you can touch on those too,
Are you going to recruit any of them?
maybe. Well, they'll play indoor.
I think with USA, I think that journey of always being a backup in a way has forced me to really understand myself, because I think you can let those thoughts spiral and then you can let them take over and you can let them suffocate you, right? And take you down. And so it's really forced me to understand why I show up every single day, because I don't want to do a disservice to myself in the way that I go about things, and then I don't want to be a disservice to my teammates, because like I want them to be their best selves too around me. And I don't think I was always great. Like I could sit here and say this is how I am now, but I was never great at it. But I had to learn that over time. And really accept that a lot of things are out of our control when we play a team sport, right? A lot of it is somebody else's decision, but that doesn't take my power. And when I can be very like 100% in my power, then I'm gonna impact the game, whether I'm on the court or not. And so I think that's been a big journey for me throughout the USA career. And then what I see, I guess the game has changed a ton, like since 2014 when I first put on a jersey to now. It's more physical, it's faster. You have a lot of young kids coming up who are just very physical, which is super exciting. So now the game is changing a bit to adapt to those players. So I think this will be a very hard Olympics, and I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see how we answer that and how we step up. And yeah, I feel this is going to be a very hard less than a year to Paris, but that's what I'm excited about.
What does it mean to you to represent the USA then when you put that jersey on?
That's a good question.
Because you've been doing it for almost 10
Yeah.
years now, right?
Yeah. I think I just try to savor it more and more every single time that I put it on, and never take it for granted, because it can be taken at any moment. But I also feel when I wear it, it's about the women that I have like played with and surrounded myself with and what we've gone through, right? It is about the country and representing our country, and I'm very proud of that and proud of the program. But a lot of it is about the women that I stand next to, because the only ones that can really know like what we go through is us. Like nobody else understands what it's like to play 8 months a year and 4 months on national team, year in and year out, and grind away, and the ups and downs of that, questioning yourself, questioning like maybe why you're in it or what you're doing, or it's never enough, I'm never good enough. But like we collectively know that we choose to do it and we choose to show up. And so for me, that's what it's about.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Yeah.
You were at VNL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. What is your experience with that? What can you talk a little bit about it? Like what do you like about the way that they do the entire format?
Yeah. The VNL is the tough one
Yeah.
for me to talk about, because it starts so soon. Like the first week is 3 days after Champions League.
Yeah.
So for us professionally, it's such a hard tournament because we just don't have time to turn around. Fortunately for USA, we have a lot of depth, so we can give older players a break that are having long seasons. But a lot of these teams like will go from their club season to VNL to now European Championships, which is happening next week, and then they have Olympic qualifiers. So
Yeah.
they
a
don't
lot.
even have a chance to like breathe.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what makes VNL pretty hard. But the exciting part for us is that we get a lot of chances for younger players, because we have to give them chances so that we can get rest. And it is really exciting. I've been so excited about seeing so many young players come through and like handle their own. And is it perfect? No. Were we perfect? Absolutely not. But it was exciting to see so many different looks from different players. And, you know, obviously a disappointing finish, but I think it was a great, you know, I'd always rather be the one that's hungry than the one that's complacent. And I think we're right where we want to be.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
I'd
Definitely.
rather be hungry as well. Anyone else starving?
Me. I'm ready for the California Greek
Yes,
salad.
same.
It's also like so easy. I'm like, it's not even a recipe.
Sounds delicious and nutritious and summer vibes as we're ending August.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh,
Midway.
crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Did you say ending August?
It's like halfway through.
it's gonna go by super fast.
Oh,
It's basically the end.
Yeah.
That's basically.
overseas is winning for me.
But yeah,
Is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of good stuff.
Is there anything on your heart or mind that you want to share with us here in the room or with our listeners?
I'm just excited for you guys. I really mean that. I think I was maybe one of your first followers.
but
I-
what?
Followers.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. I love that.
No, I'm just like so excited because I think there's so many women that deserve to be highlighted, and you guys are doing a great job. And I'm excited to see what guests you're going to get. And I don't know, I think women do it all and we're super rad. So the more that we pour into that, the better it's going to get.
Well, thank you for
I
that.
think I was telling Gina, I was like, we're in the business of bringing people together versus tearing people apart. And I
Yeah.
think we do that through our podcast, sharing the voices on our podcast, but also our summit, which hopefully we could hold quarterly.
Yeah.
We do have one more question, which is how do you take a bet on yourself, or how have you taken a bet on yourself?
I think it goes back to, you know, what USA has been for me is that I choose me. And even though at the end of the day, it's about the team's success and it's about us winning as a unit, but every single day I walk in the gym, I choose me and I bet on myself. And so that's where I feel like I'm at my best because I have the confidence to do that.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people kind of forget that it's about a lot of people pleasing. And, you know, there's that insecurity and, you know, you got to have the confidence and the experience, I think, to move past that and say, you know, what brings me joy as well and fulfills me, essentially.
And I think you can do both, right?
Yeah.
And that's something I feel like sometimes we miss the mark, is that we either have to be fully dedicated to this and we can't have those thoughts, or if we're this way, we're selfish. It's like, no, you can choose you and you can also be about the team. And that's a really powerful balance.
Yeah, and it's encouraging to hear from you as well as someone at your level, talking through all of that, but also being able to identify and share that I'm someone beyond my sport. And I think that's something that we've been discovering on our podcast, of a lot of people just come on here and they don't know who they are outside of the sport. And so even at the Big Ten, there was only one athlete for the interviews that I did that said, I am more than volleyball. And so everyone else was just tied to it. And I think that's something that we need to start sharing.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. That is it, I think. Is there anything else anyone else wants to share?
No, just thank you.
Honestly-
Thank you for being authentically yourself.
Yeah.
always,
Thanks,
too.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that is a bit on her podcast.
And cut.
Good job, everybody.
Yay.
Bang.
job,
Let's
Murphy.
go.